Imagine for a moment that everything you have ever wanted already exists. Not somewhere far away, not sometime later, but right now as a ready reality waiting for a single signal to enter your life. And now imagine that you hold a key in your hands, a way to call it toward you. Not brute force, not manipulation, but a subtle, ancient language that, when spoken in the right inner state, can restructure your life without exception. This is exactly what we will talk about today. What I call metaphysical prayer. This is not pleading, not a desperate whisper into emptiness, not a random collection of the right phrases. This is a conscious act of creation, an ancient spiritual technology as precise as it is sacred. It is about the word spoken in complete alignment of intention, feeling, and thought as an instrument of absolute manifestation. Let me be direct. If you have ever prayed, asked, affirmed, and nothing changed, this video is for you. A little further in, I will give you a specific template for metaphysical prayer and show you exactly where most people cut off their own manifestation, even when they are saying the right words. So I have one request for you. Watch at least the first 7 to 10 minutes without skipping. If you feel an inner resonance, don't just listen. Take a notebook and write down the phrases that give you chills. Those are the ones that will become your personal key. Now let's return to the essence. Many spiritual teachers have spoken about this power for centuries, each in their own language. But the core always came down to one thing. What you ask for from a state of inner wholeness manifests without exception. Because it is not about what you speak with your lips. Reality does not respond to words. It responds to the total vibration of your entire being. We live in a field that does not hear the phrase, "I believe." It hears what is actually sounding inside: fear, doubt, trust, or certainty. This is precisely why some people pray for years and see no fruit, while others seemingly just say it and everything starts to shift. The problem is not prayer itself. The problem is the state from which it is spoken. A word without power is like an arrow without a drawn string. The form is there, but there is no movement, no penetration. This video is not just an inspiring speech. This is a breakdown of the mechanism. We will take prayer apart, layer by layer. Debunk the myths. Look at its invisible geometry. Understand its vibrational nature. And see why prayer from a state of already accomplished completely transforms any external circumstance. Not because it is a trick, but because this is how the laws of existence are structured. We will look into its esoteric roots, its historical context, compare it with the teachings of the ancients and with modern understandings of consciousness. And most importantly, we will break down the specific steps so that your prayer stops being a cry into the void and becomes a seed that inevitably sprouts. Because we are not here to beg a distant deity to change our fate. We are here to remember the kingdom within. And the one who prays from the kingdom does not ask. They proclaim. What you will hear today is not another ask and receive technique. This is a different position toward life. To live from the soul, to speak from the spirit. And yes, a single prayer spoken in the right state can move those threads of reality that seemed immovable for years. For thousands of years, prayer was the bridge between the human and the divine. But before it became a ritual, it was pure vibration. Before it became a memorized text, it was intention. And long before religions shaped it, prayer was the secret instrument of the initiated, a precise spiritual science. In the ancient mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and India, they taught that the universe was created through sound. Literally, the Logos, the creative word, was not just a beautiful image, it was a living force. The spoken word is a vibration that gives form to chaos. In the papyrus of Ani, the gods create the cosmos by speaking the secret names of things. Each name is a vibrational formula. To name something is to launch it into existence. The Bible carries the same idea. In the beginning was the Word. In Genesis, it does not say that God thought about light or felt light. It says, "And God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light." That word "said" is fundamental. What is spoken from the center of being takes form. Over time, this knowledge became fragmented. Prayer turned into a request, into mechanical recitation of texts, into an act of blind faith stripped of inner work. What was spiritual alchemy became routine. What was the art of creation became fear dressed up as piety. Humanity began addressing God outside, forgetting that within each person lives that very creative source. In the 20th century, through the New Thought movement, through philosophers and mystics, this knowledge began returning. All of them were essentially saying the same thing. True prayer does not beg, it affirms what already exists. You pray not to receive something, but to align your vibration with what already exists on the invisible level. This is what is called praying from the end, not from poverty, but from completion. Many metaphysicians repeated this. Your word is your magic. But not every phrase works. Only the one spoken in a state of complete alignment of thought, feeling, and word. So what makes prayer metaphysical? How is metaphysical prayer different from the familiar, "Lord, give me"? First of all, the level of consciousness. Its power lies in the precision of vibration. Its purpose is not to beg a desired outcome from an external force, but to confirm a spiritual truth above the visible picture. It is a reminder to yourself of the truth of your soul, above the temporary illusion of matter. Metaphysical prayer is not blind belief. It is faith as a state based on direct sensation. You and the divine are inseparable. You are not knocking on a locked heavenly door. You are opening what is already inside. And this is where the real magic begins. Metaphysical prayer is a technology of the soul, not an emotional outburst without direction, not monotonous repetition that you recite while feeling resistance inside. It is an act of alignment on all levels, a restructuring of your personal field so that external events begin to reflect an inner reality that has already happened. To understand this mechanism, we need to look at 3 pillars: thought, feeling, and word. Each one individually has power, but manifestation is born where they completely coincide. The first is thought, the sacred seed. Everything begins with thought, but not a random wandering image, a precise intention that is born not from fear, but from the deepest desire of the soul. In metaphysical prayer, to think is to sow. You place an image not just in your mind, but into your field. This is not seeing to believe, but seeing inside in order to create outside. If thought is poisoned by doubt, the seed does not take root. If unlikely sounds within, the field reads exactly that. Thought must be clear as a beam directed at a single point. Otherwise, energy scatters. The imagination you hold with trust is the very key to miracles. The second is emotion, the water that brings the seed to life. Thought without feeling is a dry blueprint. The seed is there, but it has been thrown onto stone. Metaphysical prayer requires you to feel that what you are affirming is already real. Not someday it will be, but it already exists in your field. And almost everyone stumbles here. A person mentally pictures the desired outcome, but feels in their heart, I don't have this. The mind says, I am wealthy, while the body vibrates, I don't have enough. The mind says, I am loved, while the inner dialogue says, I will be abandoned again. This is vibrational desynchronization. When there is such inner conflict, there is nothing to manifest. Want to attract love? Allow yourself to feel love right now. Desire abundance? Feel that you are already supported and not abandoned. Emotion is water, invisible, yet it is the very thing that brings life. The third is word, the creative command. And finally, the word, the moment you voice your decision aloud or within. This is the point where the invisible begins to become dense. In metaphysical prayer, the word does not describe how bad everything is. It declares how things truly are at a higher level. The same principle applies here. And God said, "Let there be light." He did not try to believe in might. He expressed will through words. The word is a vibrational action. It moves the field. That is why repeating, "Everything is fine with me," 1,000 times is pointless if your entire system is screaming, "I am in panic." The word does not work like an external spell. It works as a seal placed by an aligned state. When clear thought, a lived feeling, and a word spoken with inner grounding all coincide, a unique purity arises. The universe cannot fail to hear it. This is the symphony the ancients spoke of. In that moment, you are no longer asking. You are speaking from the already accomplished, and the field responds not to requests, but to states. Metaphysical prayer is not concerned with how it will happen, exactly when or why it is taking so long. It holds only one thing. This has already been accomplished on the invisible level. When you pray from the end, what you desire has already begun the process of manifestation. The key difference from ordinary request is the inner position. Ordinary prayer sounds like, "Give me what I don't have. Fill my emptiness." Metaphysical prayer says, "Everything already exists within me, and I choose to connect with this level of reality." This is simultaneously extremely powerful and extremely difficult for the ego, because it requires releasing the familiar self-image of the suffering, needy, separated one. And for a mind accustomed to the role of victim, this feels like death. Imagine you want a new reality, different income, relationships, health. The ordinary approach calls out, "Let this come to me." The metaphysical approach says, "Become the one who already lives in this. Speak as they speak. Feel as they feel. Think and act as if this were already your normal." This is true prayer, to embody the desired state before it appears in the external. Here a paradox arises. The new will not enter while you cling to the old self. Being born again is not an abstract metaphor. It is a very concrete process. To die as the one who asks, and to be reborn as the one who affirms. And for this you must empty yourself of the image of "something is always wrong with me," of the phrases "I cannot," "I am not worthy," "this is not for me." This is not achieved with one affirmation. It is a path of recognizing the lie, turning off the program of lack, and consciously choosing to live in the purity of the kingdom as a state of consciousness, not as a fairy tale place. The scriptures say, "Enter your room and close the door." This is not about brick walls. It is about an inner step, closing the door to external noise, opinions, comparisons, collective fear. It is the moment when you go inward and align with the source. There is no audience there, no foreign voices, only you, your inner picture, and the creative principle. In this silence, something very subtle but irreversible happens. You stop trying to push reality and begin allowing it to restructure itself around your new purity. This is not passivity. It is no longer, "I am pressing on the world," but "I am tuning myself," and the world responds. The trap is repetition without consciousness. One of the most common mistakes is believing that the more times I repeat a phrase, the stronger it will work. Metaphysics says it plainly. A single phrase spoken from the right state is more powerful than 1,000 thrown from fear or panic. Power comes not from quantity, but from alignment. The main channel is not the mouth, but your entire field. So before you pray, ask yourself honestly, am I speaking now as someone trying to escape their life, or as someone already standing in their realization and simply confirming it? Am I begging someone outside, or am I acknowledging what already belongs to me by right of my origin? When you can sincerely say, "I give thanks because it is already so," instead of, "Please let it happen someday," the threshold has been crossed. You stop being a petitioner and become a co-creator. You do not need special poses, fabric-draped rooms, or complex formulas. You need a life that becomes prayer in its entirety. A life lived from certainty, not waiting. From creation, not pure reaction. 5 practices to live as prayer. First, pray through your way of life, not only through words. Want abundance? Look at how you live every day. Your posture, your manner, your thoughts about money. Do they come from, "I never have enough," or from, "I am supported and guided"? Dreaming of love? How do you speak to yourself inside when no one is listening? Every repeated feeling, every inner monologue is already a prayer. Stop asking why what I am requesting is not coming. Start asking what I am constantly radiating. Second, enter your secret room every day. Find at least 5 to 10 minutes a day when you turn away from the external world and go inward. Meditation, gentle visualization, conscious breathing. The form is not so important. One thing matters. This time is only for you and the source. This small daily ritual returns you to center, to the state where inner alignment is even possible. Do not wait for ideal conditions. Whatever is available right now, let it become your entrance. Third, treat the word as sacred fire. Every phrase you throw into the world works as a command. Begin consciously canceling phrases like, "I will never succeed," "I always struggle," "This is not for me," and replace them not with pink slogans, but with phrases that have inner grounding. "I will find a way," "I am growing through this," "Everything is unfolding in my favor." The word does not just describe the picture, it forms the rails along which energy will travel. Fourth, shift your space toward the desired state. It is impossible to vibrate in clarity while living in visual chaos. Want a new version of yourself? Let your home, your desk, your clothes, the small details begin to reflect that version. Remove the excess. Bring order to places where it seemed fine as it was. Live as if your prayer is already fulfilled and you are simply catching up to that reality in the external. Fifth, remove the inner urgency. What interferes most is not the desire itself, but the grip on timing. The state of, I urgently need this, tells the field, I do not believe this already exists. I am certain I am in deficit. If this were already your normal, you would feel a calm, yes, it is so, not feverish waiting. Your task is to sow, to give thanks, and to allow the process to unfold. Like a gardener who does not dig up the seed every day to check if it sprouted. He knows the inner process is moving, even when there is silence on the outside. What is the main secret? You do not need to convince the universe. You do not need to earn the miracle. You need to remember who you are and align with that part of yourself that has never been separated from the source. When the one who speaks changes, everything that comes in response changes. At this level, we are no longer talking about language. We are talking about identity. Metaphysical prayer is not a set of words. It is a choice of position. To live as a creator, not as a hostage of circumstances. To stop waiting for the miracle from outside and to allow the miracle to manifest through you. True prayer does not sound like, please let this happen. It sounds like, I give thanks because it is already so. It is precisely here, in this shift of foundation, that the main spiritual secret is hidden. The universe does not respond to a wish list. It responds to what you have already accepted as fact inside yourself. We have seen how thought initiates the process, emotion brings it to life, and word seals it. How every prayer is a tuning of frequency that, when born from deep alignment, changes the field of the possible. We understood that the mistake is not in desiring, but in desiring from fear and lack. The main barrier is not the external world. It is the frequency from which you speak your reality. Can you manifest a world while you are contracted inside with anxiety? Can you attract abundance while speaking of it from terror and distrust? The word is heard as sound, but read as vibration, and vibration is always more honest than our phrases. Metaphysical prayer requires you to have the courage to live today already as that version of yourself you have not yet seen with your eyes, but feel with your heart. To hold certainty when the external world shows the opposite. To live as if you have already become the one who is still being born within you. This is not self-deception. This is loyalty to the soul. When you enter your inner sanctuary into that state of already accomplished, you stop begging and begin issuing the laws of your reality. And at this level, prayer truly becomes law. And yes, everything is fulfilled when you pray as one who has already received. This is not a trick. This is a law as ancient as the world and forgotten as deeply as our own divinity. I do not ask you to take my word for it. I invite you to test it. Take one true desire. Close your eyes. Feel that it has already been accomplished. Speak it aloud. Give thanks. Let it go. Do not cling to timelines. Do not search for immediate confirmation. Do your part. Vibrate as the one for whom this is already normal. The rest will align. Because when you pray from the soul, reality truly has no other choice but to change.